in the end zone. Yes! Touchdown! Oladipo to win it.
Another one! Another one!
Huge hole. He's at the 30. He's going to go. 10, 5, touchdown. Jonathan Taylor.
Worked out by Burke. Bounces into Cody. Puts it up. Scores!
Now, from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios, here's your host, Jim Coyle.
Welcome in to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. Here on this Tuesday, Kevin Brockway with me as always. Jim Coyle here. How are you? How's your day going?
I got my
Kevin Brockway.
I'm good. I got my Nets cap on here, up 2-0 in the series with Milwaukee. So I'm fired up, man. Playoffs are, even without Harden, the playoffs are they're looking pretty good so far.
The NBA continue. How far? I'll be honest with you. I have not paid any attention to the NBA. I've just enjoyed not. But where are we in the NBA? Are we in the quarterfinals now?
Yeah, second round. Yeah, yep. It's and Nate McMillan, former Pacers coach, right? He has the Atlanta Hawks up 1-0 on the Philadelphia 76ers. So
that would be hilarious.
He has won 4 or 5 playoff games so far with Atlanta after losing his last 9 playoff games with the Pacers. So it's pretty amazing. But when you have a healthy Trae Young and Danilo Gallinari, and I think that was kind of the big issue with the Pacers under Nate the last 2 years. The playoff failures had a lot to do with not having a healthy team. He didn't have Oladipo. You remember in 2019 and 2020, he didn't have Sabonis. So that always hurts.
Jim Fossil, former Giants head coach, dies at 71. I saw that happen. That's some sad news there.
Yeah, very, very took him to the Super Bowl back in 2002.
Yeah. But in baseball, how about my Reds, man? They swept the Cardinals over the weekend or that last series, but I don't know if they can make a run, man. Let's see. Where are we?
Winkler is tearing the cover off the ball. Jesse Winkler. He's going to be a guy that Jesse Winker, excuse me, not to be confused with Henry Winkler of Ponzi days. Yeah.
Hey. Yeah, the Reds still hovering around 500. The funny thing is, they're only 4 games out. That's the funny thing with baseball. They're in fifth place in the Central Division, National League Central, but they're only 4 games out, which not a lot in baseball. And it's the Milwaukee Brewers. And Milwaukee Brewers in first. This Central Division has been this National League Central Division has been a funky division, man.
Well, the Cubs are on top, and the Cubs are, what's going to be interesting about them is they have a bunch of guys that are impending free agents, but if they're in first place at the trade deadline, I mean, what do you do? Do you just keep those guys and make a run at it, or do you still trade them off or trade some of them off for prospects? But, the core of that 2016 team that won the World Series is all heading towards free agency. Chris Bryant, Anthony Rizzo, Javier Baez. So you've got a bunch of guys that they have to make decisions on. Wilson Contreras, the catcher, 4 guys right there that you're going to have to make decisions on come trade deadline. And I think if the Cubbies are still in first, maybe they make a run at it.
The Cubbies. Bahamas. How about Bahamas? Indiana basketball going to the Bahamas. That announced today. What was that? Day before yesterday that came out originally, but they're playing 2 games down there, but they're not televised. I can't comprehend how someone would not find a way to televise these games. I just can't see that there's not money to be made. But kind of odd, but they're going to the Bahamas. A big change. That's more stuff with Mike Woodson getting it going. And it just continues to show how this is just a whole new day in Indiana. I mean, the last 4 years, you might as well, as hard as it is, just wipe out of your mind, because that's going to be a distant memory very soon. I truly believe that in what they're doing there under Mike Woodson.
Yeah, and it's interesting. I had a recent conversation this morning with Charlie Miller, your co-host. I'm working with Storyham, and I asked him a little bit about Mike Woodson and having an Indiana guy at the helm, and he said he felt like the Board of Regents has spoken in that being necessarily the former players, the fans, kind of a referendum to bring in someone with Indiana ties. And I think it has kind of boosted the morale around there a little bit, and certainly making the investment for this international trip, their first international trip since 2014 when they went to Canada. And there's a lot of value in those trips. You know, if you remember that documentary in February about the big trip back in 1985 when, you know, Bob Knight sent his team around the globe, basically. That was a much longer trip. That was about 28 days, a month. But you know, to be able to have that bonding experience and also to have the extra practice time, even in Bloomington, you get, I believe it's 10 days, and how they'll divvy it up in that 6-day trip is they'll probably do a few practices at the Cook Center to start out, and then you go out to the Bahamas and you practice and you play those exhibition games. So I think it's going to be really good for them in terms of implementing their system and you know, developing a little bit of growth and continuity, because you have basically, you know, 6 returning players and 6 new faces, and you've got to, you know, gel and blend that together.
Yeah, if you recall, a while back, not too long ago, we saw the 1985 trip taken by Bob Knight and his team, the only trip of that sort ever taken by Bob Knight. But we saw what that did for that team. That was in 85. 2 years later, that team wins a national championship. And if you go back and watch that, a lot of the guys that were on that trip said that trip went a long way in leading to that. It's investment. You're putting an investment in. Here's what you're doing. Basically, you're investing in these guys, these personalities, and getting it all together. And yeah, the faces will change next year, but once you get this system going, I'll just call it a system, but once you get that going, you just keep moving in the parts and it doesn't change. But the system has to be changed, and that's what Mike Woodson and company are doing right now, and they're doing a hell of a job of it because they've done it like that. But that's what happens when you know what you're doing, and when you put people in place that know what they're doing, they get the job done.
What did Tom Crean's trip in 2014 do, I wonder? I mean, did they have a good year in 15 or 16? 16 is what it all kind of came on the rails, but I think immediately in 14 and 15 there were decent seasons. Right. Were they not?
Well, I have to go back and look. They won a Big Ten championship toward the end, but it was the immediate future. It was like, boom, there was nothing there. It kept dropping off because Crean would over recruit, and there just wasn't the continuity. He lost the Indiana coaches and players, so that was changing. Hey man, my cousin's on. So that was a big difference. And that's why he kind of went off the cliff. He lost the Indiana coaches, lost the Indiana players. And so now when you rely only on outside guys at Indiana, that's problematic. This is not a place where you rely on the outside guys. You bring them in to enhance what you have. And he had lost that. So, but this is getting back to the basics of what they have always done, and it works, and it's going to work.
Yeah, well, I'm just wondering because, you know, when you talk about that 85 trip, that was 28 days, and now it's more like 10. So I think the difference in the bonding, do you have as much, you know, time to bond, and does that, you know, have a direct correlation? I just think it's a win-win, though, because especially with a new coach, you want to have that time. You want to be able to build that system. But for it to happen overnight, you know, maybe you won't, but maybe 2 or 3 years down the road, too, that'll be helpful. And, you know, maybe the exhibition games are a time when you can tell a guy like Trace, hey, you can step out a little bit and shoot from 10, 15 feet, or have Race Thompson take a few 3-pointers and try to build his confidence that way and stretch the floor. Things that, you know, Mike Woodson wants to develop and wants to implement in order to open up the floor a little bit. You can try out in some of those games because, you know, even if you lose to a team, you know, of that caliber, which is they're a high-level European club team. I mean, Goga Batadze, Nika Jovic, they all came out of that program. So it's not going to be a walk in the park by any means. But I think you can test some things out as well in some of those exhibition games and see how things work and see if you can implement some of the things that long term are going to be successful to your program.
Well, this is probably critical for them to get to do this because you've got an entire new staff coming in that they have them in practice and they're going to see that, but you learn a lot in practice, but not everything you want. So being able to play these games against these teams, a Serbian team that you know is going to be formidable, that's going to be probably the best thing they can do going into the season.
Yeah, and hey, maybe it not being on TV, takes some of the pressure off. Who knows? But I have a feeling they're going to find a way to stream it, don't you think? At least or something like that. They got to do something, right? Except so that the fans can watch it. I mean, I think IU will find a way to maybe get some video people down there, and you can stream it online or whatever.
I'll stream it. Shit, I'll stream it. I'll stream it.
Yeah.
That sounds like a good idea. We'll have to do that. Make sure we're not hitting
FCC fine there, Jim. If you got to be good.
Don't exacerbate it. We'll have to be there, double up. John will have to take care of that. But it's exciting. And then fans are able to go, but it's going to be a limited amount. I don't remember what the numbers are, but they've sent the information out. You'll have to go look that up.
You have to stay at the resort too.
Yes, you have to stay at the resort, which is a little odd, but it's limited because they're probably playing in a ballroom
too. Yeah. I have been there before. Yeah, have you been there before?
No.
They play in the ballroom, and it's kind of a low ceiling. I covered the 2015 Florida was in it.
Do they have the chandelier in the middle of the court?
No, they take down the chandeliers, but it does really. It's kind of a weird shooting backdrop there. It's hard. A lot of teams struggle with their shooting. That was the year Butler upset North Carolina that year when they had Todd Holtman, when Chris Holtman was the coach. I covered that tournament. Florida ended up playing North Carolina. Florida really struggled. They lost 2 or 3. I believe Wisconsin and Oklahoma, that was the championship game that year. And what was really cool was that was when Oklahoma had Buddy Hield, who was from Freeport. He was from the Bahamas. So he had his own little cheering section there from the Bahamas, rooting him on, which was really neat. But it's a beautiful resort. It's a beautiful event. You have casinos there, the whole 9 yards. I remember it was Thanksgiving weekend going down the water slide. Here it is on Thanksgiving Day, and it's 80 degrees, and summertime will be, I'm sure a little more stifling, but you do have the ocean breezes there. But it'll be nice. It'll be a great experience for them, and I'm sure they'll maybe do some fun things on the water as well.
Yep, but it's getting back, like I said, this is getting back to the way it used to be. Indiana has a great following, and I remember going down to the Duke game a couple of years ago, knowing that there are not only limited seats, but virtually no seats for opponents. That only holds 9,000 in there, so it's not like fans. You don't see colors other than blue at Cameron because there's limited seating. I was shocked at the number of IU people down there. I mean, boy, you saw a lot of red sparks throughout that crowd. So Indiana has a great following. This is the kind of stuff that will spark back up. It's probably almost beneficial that they did not play in the deal last year over in Hawaii, where were we going? Hawaii? Yeah. Because that would have been just a wasted trip. To be honest with you, fans couldn't go. It was just Now the next time they come around, it'll be back to where it's a big time deal. So Chris says he saw someone posted about 15,000 for a party of 2 days, all 10 days, including wow.
Got an extra 15 grand lying around?
Wow.
Yeah.
All 10 days. Shoo. Gee whiz. Tim says Tom Allen had some football players over. Oh, yeah, that was a couple days ago. But, man, 15,000. Woo, darling. Yeah, that's got to come out of your wallet, man. Can you expense that?
Yeah.
We got to take a break.
Check with CNHI on that.
Yeah, the coach is going to join us next. We'll be back with more right after this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Hey, Hoosier fans, whether you're looking for... Hey, you'll have to clean that shit up.
Yeah, I made a mark. We're good. I'll take care of it.
Damn, that has never happened.
I know it's like you were just so focused you didn't even realize what was going on.
And as soon as it came out, I was like, son of a bitch.
Oh well. Hey, that's the beauty of
FCC
sending the show to the stations after the fact.
I know.
Yeah, you can edit that all out. Yeah, I guess you can edit out my line about the FCC box.
I've never done it, but I came close once. It was an F-bomb.
Now, can you send that out online in your podcast and be okay or no?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you don't have to touch that. It's just, we just want to make sure.
Yeah, only the stations need to have the slur cut off.
And to be truthful, it could probably, I don't know. That's probably not, I don't think that's a word that is get you in trouble really, but I would prefer it not go out.
Yep.
Man, never done that.
It's crazy.
That's funny. Of all the times. And I've been so much closer so many other times and been jacked
you were
up.
Close yesterday.
I wasn't even jacked up about
specifically,
anything.
but you had to catch yourself. I don't remember what you were about ready to say, but you were close.
It gets hard sometimes.
Yeah.
Here's Matt.
Matty T. Look at Matty T. Got the new emblem on.
I'm not as stupid as I look.
Is that going to be the new? That's the new Colts logo for what? For like a?
No, that's been around. That's been around.
That's the old 1950s. What do they call it? The bucking horse logo.
Oh, cool.
He usually has he usually just has a blank little human as his emblem, is what he's saying.
Love it. How you doing, brother?
I'm good. What's up with you guys?
I played golf with Laz yesterday.
With who?
That was John Laskowski.
Oh, how's he doing?
Great. Damn it. He's just turned. It was his birthday, and the dude shot a 77.
Where'd you guys play?
The Ross.
Cool.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and bring us back in.
Lunch, hanging with friends, or on the golf course, Sam's Restaurants has multiple locations and something for everyone. Sam's Restaurant in Fishers has homemade coffee cakes and much more. Sam's Place in Broad Ripple has wings, tender steaks, and seafood. Sam's Ale House in Carmel and on 86th Street in Indy have a long list of craft beers and all of the right foods to go with. Plan a day on the links at Eagle Point in Bloomington, then stay for dinner at Sam's Clubhouse. Sam's Restaurants, professionals in the art of food and drink. This segment is brought to you by Sam's Family of Restaurants. Fresh, local, family. Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington. Here's Jim Coyle.
Welcome back on this Tuesday. Kevin Brockway joining me as always. And today, Matt Taylor, swapping him around, joining us today. Hey, Matt, were you a part of New England Patriots owner Robert Kraft was gifted a new Bentley from his celebrity friends for his 80th birthday? Were you in on that? Did you kick in?
Yeah, I did. I chipped in about $5 to the GoFundMe account for Robert Kraft, who I'm glad that he now has his $200,000 Bentley that he's been so forever longing for. A couple $1 billion worth of ownership there with the New England Patriots. Just goes to show that you still want you think at some point you would want for nothing, but even billionaires still strive for things they cannot have.
Yeah, he had been struggling finding the car he wanted.
Mm-hmm.
He was so surprised, I think I read, as hands on his head.
Hey, well, listen, dreams come true. Dreams come true. It's great. That's the moral of the story. Keep plugging away, keep grinding. Dreams come true. So good for Robert Kraft.
The funniest thing of all to me, though, is the reason that they said that they did this, and where is it? Rapper Meek Mill, stunned and blah, blah, blah. The Reform Alliance. They've all worked together and created the Reform Alliance, which, since its inception, aims to transform probation and parole in the United States, which is great. But how do you take that and reward it with a freaking Bentley? I mean, that just seems like two opposite ends of the universe there.
Yeah, no, I have no idea. I saw the headline, didn't really dive deeper into it. Again, good for Robert Kraft. He's got the car of his dreams, so I can sleep well at night knowing that he's happy. But yeah, I'm not really a car guy. Like I am four wheels on the ground, a radio, maybe a Bluetooth here in this modern day of 2021. Get me from point A to point B. My errands, my car trips consist of dropping kids off at grandma and grandpa's, or going and running and picking up carry out, or so I'm not a big car guy. So as long as I can get from point A to point B, it has good gas mileage, that pretty much checks all the boxes for me.
Well, Robert Kraft has got to slip in and out of places unnoticed, so a Bentley would probably allow him to do that.
I officially plead the fifth on this conversation going forward.
How have you been doing? What's new with the Colts?
Well, the Colts are in this dead time, that we've talked about on the schedule of the NFL. This is pretty much the deadest period of NFL news that you're going to have during the calendar. The off-season workout program for the Colts is over. That ended the week before Memorial Day. So now we're about 2 weeks in, and guys have in total, going back to the end of the off-season workout program, about 8 weeks to themselves to get right, get in tip-top conditioned, and start lifting, running, getting ready for training camp, but also at the same time decompressing a little bit, detaching away from football before the grind of training camp and preseason games and the regular season starts. So it's always a delicate balance for guys this time of year during the summer. But this is going to be the quietest part of an NFL calendar for every NFL team.
Yeah, that is the absolute hardest thing to me, Kevin and Matt, is you have to use this time, because it is the only time where you're not consumed with football. But at the same time, you can't disconnect from it completely either.
Right.
Right. And it's like what you do, what we do, what Kevin does, the same jobs. It's there. You find those times where you try to separate, but you can never completely disconnect from it. And I know that would probably be great if they could, but you can't, because there's always more learning. There's always more challenges. But how do they find that balance? I mean, that is a tricky deal, because it's a hard season. Football is probably the hardest season of the sports because of the physical toll it takes on you.
Yeah, I think it's a challenge. And then you throw in, some guys have families, they have, wives and young kids. And so they're balancing that, and they're, trying to, incorporate friends and family and taking trips. But anywhere these guys go, they have to find, hey, is there a suitable workout venue close by that I can use to my advantage? I have to take the playbook with me. I still have to keep one eye on everything going on with my job, even though I'm not, in the heat of my job, so to speak, which is going to start in late July. So these guys all know, if I'm not doing these things right now, there's, just look at the Colts roster. I mean, there's so much depth and there's so much talent on this team. So guys know, if I'm not doing it, there's a guy behind me, a guy behind him that's probably putting in the work this time of year. So I can't completely detach away from football, even though guys try. It's different from you and I, Jim. We go on vacation and we hit up the beach, or we go to the pub across the street, or we get some ice cream at night. Like, these guys are trying to do normal human things, but they have to do it in moderation. They have to do it maybe a fraction of the time as to where we can, because they have to, always think about what they're putting into their bodies. They have to think about, they have to even think about the amount of sleep and quality of sleep they're getting this time of year ahead of training camp, because it all adds up and it all matters nutritional wise before the start of the season. Because if guys come in and they have a rough, month of June or July where they weren't taking care of themselves, man, they're going to feel it big time in training camp, and therefore it's going to jeopardize their roster spot and their playing time.
Kevin?
Yeah, Matt, is it too early to kind of look ahead to this Hall of Fame ceremony with Peyton and Edgerrin James? And I guess they announced they're going to give them the rings on September 19th. And what does that say, or how special is that to the franchise and to Jim Irsay to have these two going in August?
Oh, it's going to be great. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I really liked what the Hall of Fame committee did last year during the pandemic, not forcing the class of 2020, which Edgerrin James is a part of, to go through a pandemic ceremony. So that just wouldn't be fair to anybody. So what they did was they combined 2020 and the 2021 class, and I believe they're going to do those on separate nights coming up in August, the weekend of the Hall of Fame induction. So I think the 2020 class, if I'm not mistaken, I think the 20 class is going to go in on a Friday night, and then the regular 2020 ceremony will stay that Saturday. I was a little bit, from a fan standpoint, it's a little bit of a bummer that, in a normal year with Peyton Manning going into the Hall of Fame, the Hall of Fame tries to maximize. They try to take the marquee inductee and have that player's team play in the Hall of Fame game. So in a normal year, obviously Peyton Manning is the headliner of this class. So it would be logical to say the Colts would have been the team to play in that Hall of Fame game that Sunday, the Sunday after the Saturday inductions. But what they did was they pushed back last year's game, which I think it's the Cowboys and the Steelers. I may have that wrong, but at any rate, it's last year's matchup being pushed to this year's as well. So I know Colts fans were a little bit disappointed by that, but it's going to be great. And Jim Irsay is, obviously going to put together a big soiree for both guys. I mean, you're talking about two icons of the franchise, two legends. Both guys are in the Ring of Honor for the Colts. And so, yeah, they're going to get their rings on that second game of the season. I think that's the 19th against the Rams, and that'll be an epic moment and just another part of the early season schedule headlines-wise for this team. Another reason why you should think about buying tickets for Colts home games, especially in the month of September.
Yeah, and looking forward to that. But summertime does bring us a respite of football of sorts. But, man, it kind of creates that anticipation, too, as the fall comes around, and looking forward to that. I'll talk more about this with Kevin later, but while I've got you here, college football, the next potential change would be going to a 12-team playoff for college football. That is something that I think would be very interesting, but very needed. I'm so tired, and I think everybody's so tired, sick and tired of watching Clemson, Alabama, and Ohio State. It's ridiculous because, you know what? Upsets happen. But it just – I definitely think college football needs that.
See, I kind of disagree. I think 12 teams is a little much.
The number is a little high. I agree with that.
Well, the reason why I'm disagreeing is, let's take the last 5 years. Okay,
there's not been 12 teams that could fit in there.
There's not 11 teams that can beat Alabama.
Nope.
So I don't think it's necessary, to be honest with you. Now, I think things can change based on the parity of the sport, but based on how things are going right now, honestly, if Alabama and Clemson are seeds 1 and 2, 3 and 4 really don't matter, and they really haven't put up a fight against those two programs. That's my argument on why we don't need to expand it. Now, from a fan standpoint, I'm okay going from 4 to 6 and figuring out a bye situation or whatever, just to get more teams involved. But I think it's clear that the two best college football programs of the last 5 to 10 years have been Alabama, Clemson, and you maybe throw in Ohio State on a sporadic basis, depending on the year. But yeah, what I'm getting at is, last year Notre Dame had no chance. Ohio State had no chance to beat Alabama. So to me, it's really not. It's not necessary. You would just be prolonging the inevitable, in my opinion.
I will say this one thing, though, Matt. To me, what's interesting is, if you take a look at the NFL, and I know it's a different animal, but, you take a look at the Tampa Bay Bucks. They were a team that in the regular season really struggled. You remember those games and
the NFL. I see where you're going. If you would have asked me last August, hey, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, do they have a chance to win the Super Bowl? I would have said maybe. Yeah. And that's that. You're right. That is the beauty of the NFL. The parity of the league is what makes it great. There's 4 teams every year that make the playoffs that didn't the year before, dating back to 1990. Right. So that you have a team every year that finishes last in their division that wins the division the next year. So I just don't think you have that in college football to that degree, though. That's my argument, because you have the greats, you have the haves, and then the have-nots. when it comes to Alabama and Clemson. There's a big difference.
Yeah.
There's a big separation between 1 and 2, and then 3 and 4, and then everybody else.
Yeah, no, I think the point that I was getting at, though, with that was they were a team that played their best football at the end of the season. Whereas,
Sure.
and Oklahoma, I thought, was playing its best football at the end of the season. But the way the college football playoff is currently structured, you don't reward someone for that, because if you have some early slip-ups,
Yep.
you're pretty much done and you're out of the 4.
No, that's fair.
So
That's
I think
fair.
there's something to be said for, if you expand,
Right.
you could maybe reward a team like Oklahoma that's kind of coming together at the right time.
No, that's right. I mean, in the NFL, it's apples to apples. All the games count the same, whereas in college football, it's apples to oranges to bananas to peaches to pears.
Yeah.
Because we saw last year the college football playoff committee. I still don't know what the criteria was for Indiana to make the New Year's Six. Excuse me. That was an absolute hose job. We see it every year. So
yeah, you have to take Indiana off the chest for that to happen.
no, I mean, I heard what Fred Glass said on a podcast. I thought it was great. When he talked about his devotion for Tom Allen and feeling like he was in a place after he had retired as athletic director of Indiana. Scott Dolson couldn't say anything. Tom Allen couldn't say anything, but he thought he was in a uniquely positioned spot to, I've got the experience, I've got the background of how this works, and I think something needs to be said on behalf of the program. And so he spoke up, and rightfully so. So yeah, that's sort of the I guess the great thing, but also the bad thing about college football. It's why we love it, because it's all subjective, but at the same time, it's infuriating if your team is on the wrong end of the wrong subject in a lot of people's eyes.
I think they should move Clemson to the NFC East, and you can move Alabama to the NFC South, and that would solve all the college football's problems, because those two programs probably have a higher payroll than the lower teams in those divisions.
I disagree with that, but I know what you're talking about. I think
The payroll,
Alabama would get absolutely rolled by the Jacksonville Jaguars.
they would, in all honesty, but yes. What else is new with you? I know you don't have a lot of time today, so what's going on with you?
I'm heading on vacation. I'll be out the next 2 weeks, so detaching myself a little bit. I'll be gone.
There's the detachment we talked
there
about.
you go. Yeah, heading down to Florida next week, and then the week after that, heading up to Michigan. So trying to get some R&R before the grind in late July.
Enjoy Florida. What part of Florida are you going down to?
Going down to Clearwater.
Oh, that'd be nice.
Yes, sir.
Brother, enjoy it. I won't delay your vacation start any longer, man. We appreciate you. I hope you have a great vacation. I guess we'll talk to you in a couple of weeks.
You got it, guys. I appreciate you.
Thank you, brother. Thank you, Matt Taylor. From the Indianapolis Colts, Matt Taylor joining us here. That was great stuff, as always. We will talk about the college football playoff more when we come back, because that's something that I do want to talk about. Kevin Brockway on.
And, the championship game will be in Lucas Oil Stadium. So that's of interest, certainly to the Hoosier State. Another big event coming to Indy.
The college football playoff?
Championship game will be in Lucas Oil Stadium, yeah.
I missed that. When was that announced?
That was announced a couple of years ago.
Wow. Well, I guess it was a couple of years ago. That's why I haven't remembered that, because they've never
On
played
the pandemic
in it.
and everything, yeah, all that good stuff.
Perfect. Yeah, we'll talk about that and more when we come back from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios after this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington. Whether you're looking for a relaxed...
I did not. So, is that your call?
Yeah, he's muted.
I did not know the freaking college football playoff championship game was in Indy.
I didn't either. I feel like it's been in like the southern states.
Well, it's always in a warm.
But it helps that the Colts have the dome, so maybe they'll start playing it in different parts of the country now instead of just the South, kind of like they do the Final Four, spread it around a little bit. Where's the Final Four this year?
Dude, I have no idea.
I guess they may not even have it announced because they probably don't know.
No, it's all laid out.
Oh,
You can pull it up; it'll tell you.
I didn't know if the years got changed because of COVID and maybe stuff got moved around, and who knows. 'Cause I'm sure this past year's was not supposed to be Indianapolis when they did the whole tournament in Indianapolis or Indiana.
No, it was not. I don't remember now. Tony says, yeah, the Bahamas trip is only 7 days. I was wondering what that amount that whoever it was put that up. I was like, man, that sounds like a long time.
Excuse me. All right, go ahead and I'll wait a few more seconds. I don't want to play too many It's out loud. All right.
Vehicle Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington's got you covered. They're Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer for a reason. For deals like this, how about a new 2020 Honda Civic LX front-wheel drive lease for just $180 a month, or a new 2021 Honda Accord LX front-wheel drive lease for just $270 a month. Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer.
Come see us at the all-new Andy Moore Honda, now in Bloomington.
This segment is brought to you by Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington. Here's Jim Coyle.
How's everybody doing on this Tuesday? Fine, I hope. I was looking at earlier that there was a how about John Rahm? We didn't talk about this real quick, but John Rahm getting forced out of the Memorial the other day. Didn't that suck? Can you imagine that, leading Memorial going into the last day and get told you have COVID?
Rough.
College football looking to potentially, I'm not saying they're looking to expand, but according to Pete Thamel, the next 3 weeks offer a critical period in charting what the future of college football playoff will look like. A pair of college football meetings are expected to decide a specific recommendation with a final decision. Details in television contract determined later in the fall. Yahoo Sports spoke with more than a dozen stakeholders Monday on every side of the decision, and what they've come away with is that a 12-team playoff is that is most likely to come out of that. And I have to agree with Matt. 12 is a little high. 8 seems to be more than enough, because I can't think of 8 teams in the last 5 years. I mean, every number you go to, there's always going to be that one on that extra number, but I don't care about that. But I just don't see in football right now. Right now, if you took Alabama and Clemson out of the equation, now I think that changes the whole thing. I think you could put as many teams in, you could put a bigger team, because it would be a more equitable playoff. Let's be honest. It's not an equitable playoff right now. And I don't care what people think. There's crap going on at Alabama. There's crap going on at Clemson. If you believe otherwise, you're just naive. You are naive.
You want to ensure parity in college football? I mean, we have enough ranking services. We rank these guys, right? I don't know if I've suggested this before. You cap the number of 5-star recruits you can have on one team at 2 per team. That's how you can ensure parity. You know what I mean? If you're not going to take the cheating or the financial aspect out of it, take it out of their hands that way. I mean,
that's the only way.
That would be the only way to do it. Because right now, what do you have? You have Alabama and Clemson stockpiling 5-stars. for whatever reason that, and if you've ever been to Tuscaloosa, Alabama, trust me, they're not going there for the ambiance. They're not going there for the campus life. And it's not certainly one of the higher rated academic schools in the SEC either. It's, they're going for football, and they're going because, there's a path to the NFL that Saban has created, but they're probably going for other reasons too. And some people are saying, oh, well, they get developed there. But if you're a pretty good high school player to begin with, the odds of you making the NFL are greater anyway. So I think that there's something to be said for it. And NIL is going to create a whole nother mess entirely, but maybe that will level the playing field too, because maybe if you can ensure financial compensation for these kids above board, maybe the best players from Florida will go back to staying in Florida instead of shuttling off to Alabama or shuttling off to some of these other SEC schools. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be fascinating the next 3 or 4 or 5 years as this develops. But I think what's interesting too in the college football playoff is, some talk of on-campus playoff games, which would be a lot of fun. I think it would be great if, say, Indiana was in the top 12 and they hosted a playoff game at Memorial Stadium. How cool would that be?
Could they fill it up?
Oh, they'd fill it up. Wouldn't you for that?
I'm just kidding. I'm just being a smart aleck. I'm just trying to stick those people that don't come. But
it would.
I like the destinations. I like destinations because it creates a different atmosphere. Because I think when you're at home, there's too much comfort for fans. And if you travel to a destination, you have put in effort to get there. You want to be there. So I think that would make it better. But
you're about for the early round games, not for the Final Four. I'm talking about for like those first round games. To play a game on a campus in December, I think that would be really cool, and it would be good for the city of Bloomington. Just think about that. Think about the businesses.
I'm not disputing that.
Yeah,
no dispute to that. Absolutely, it would be crazy. It would be uncharted. But
the hotels and the bars and the restaurants. It would be great. It would be great for the city.
But until something is done, until whatever, the pipelines that are being used at Clemson and Alabama, until they are disrupted, college football is going to be what it is. Go back and look. All right, look at the Big Ten. Think of the really good teams that have been to the Big.
That's another traditional power too. Yeah.
Oh, I know, but Ohio State, even as good as they have been, they have not been able to, like Matt said, conquer the giant. And look how big Ohio State is.
2014, they won it all under Urban. Yeah.
Then you look at Wisconsin, who is probably the second best team, I guess you'd say, over there on that side for sure. They have not been able to get past Ohio State. So it's just this tier that is quickly evaporates. You just got it is the 1% in college football. There is nothing fun about that for fans. You want to see different teams. That's what makes the NCAA men's basketball tournament the greatest sporting spectacle that there is. You absolutely have no idea who's going to win.
Are dynasties good though? I don't know. Were the Bulls good? They did, with Michael Jordan, they did the big dance. You had that. You had the, Yankees in the late 90s.
As long as they're challenged. As long as they're challenged, I think they're okay. But Alabama's not really being challenged. Or
Clemson has had some good battles against Alabama.
But both of those two are not being challenged, is what I'm saying. And they're both in a position to where nothing's going to change. I'm telling you, it's football in the South. There's different rules for football in the South than there are in the rest of the country. And if you don't believe that, you are naive. And it is a fact. And the NCAA, they can't handle what they got going in basketball. They got there's no way. You think they're going to go try to tackle Alabama? You think they're going to go try to tackle Clemson? Hell no. No chance. So if they're not going to change it, it's not fun for me when you cannot see different teams challenge for a championship. It's aggravating to me. But
LSU won a national championship right before, they had the one good year.
And they cheated. cheated their ass off. That's why they're in trouble now. Cheated. And where'd they come from? The South, the Southeastern Conference. My whole point. Auburn. Do we need to go down the list of SEC schools? I mean, they're not the only ones, but it is a different – cheating in the South is a sport itself.
The last SEC, non-SEC, ACC was what? Ohio State, obviously, under Urban, who had his issues. You know what I mean? They had their institutional issues at
well, he
Ohio
learned
State.
Because he came from where? The South, the SEC. He learned a great lesson.
And but I don't know. I think you can break through. You just have to, have the right coaching, the right talent, and maybe you can.
You can break through to another level, but you can't break through to that level unless you're doing what they are doing. I mean, who has anybody really come close to breaking the stranglehold of Clemson and Alabama lately?
Yeah, well, I mean, LSU won the national championship in 2019.
Cheated.
Yeah,
I mean,
and so are Clemson and Alabama.
Let me re-say that. A non-cheating, unless you cheat, is there any way to do that?
Yeah. I mean, like I said, Urban Meyer in Ohio State in 2014 was probably, the last one from this region, I mean, it has to do with the athletes too. I mean, it has to do with the sheer number of athletes down there, and they don't cheat to get all of them, but I think it's just the sheer athletic talent and a culture where a lot of those kids from Florida stay in Florida, a culture where a lot of those kids in Louisiana stay in Louisiana. But you can occasionally pluck some good ones. And I think Tom Allen has done a good job of that.
Excellent job.
Plucking kids from the Southeast. And it's played really well in this conference because you've got a lot of speed and athleticism on this team that other teams in the Big Ten, quite frankly, don't have.
Well, and that teams like Indiana is exactly who I'm talking about, of doing it the right way, developing players, not landing all these 5 stars and fighting to compete. And they've competed with Ohio State, getting even closer to doing that. But yet it is just, it's a different game for an Indiana versus the Ohio States of the world. I mean, first of all, you're playing against teams that have 100,000 seat stadiums. The money is crazy. The facilities are crazy. They don't have presidents that are siphoning off their money from athletics. It's just a ton of things that go against teams like Indiana. And I'm not just saying Indiana. There's plenty of others that fill in that same deal. But it's a different playing field.
It comes down to resources too, and devoting the resources. That's a big part of the game too. Devoting the resources in facilities and devoting the resources in development of players. And like one area where Indiana has devoted probably more resources than a lot of teams in the country is, take a look at where Aaron Wellman is paid compared to the rest of strength coaches in the country. It's near the top. I think that's where they found a little bit of a niche is in strength and conditioning, Dave Ballou and Matt Ray before that. So you're always trying to find a way or a niche to kind of, close the gap in some of these big programs. And I think Indiana for probably a program that, let's face it, doesn't have the same facilities as a lot of other teams in the Big Ten. Look up the road in Purdue and they have their own facility. You look at Northwestern and they have this majestic facility along the lake. Indiana doesn't have that, but what are they going to do? They're going to spend money on strength and conditioning to invest in the players and player development and get players better. And that maybe makes up for maybe not getting some of the players in recruiting. The whole LEO concept from Tom Allen has probably helped in recruiting in terms of building a family atmosphere that maybe some other programs don't have that are, probably, it's probably a lot more fun to play for Tom Allen than it is for Jim Harbaugh, for example. So I think that plays into it too. And that kind of counterbalances Indiana's lack of facilities is that they're trying to find other ways to attract players. And it's been, largely successful the last few years. We'll see if it continues.
And I think that is, there's no doubt. Tom Allen has created an environment that is he's made up for some of those things. But I think that will only go so far that Indiana's got to catch up in those other areas, because otherwise you're just using that to try to stay even. And they've got to catch up in that regard. And then it puts them ahead, or it gives them the opportunity to go ahead. So But hey, how about softball? Have you watched any of the women's college World Series? It's been kind of a little bit I've caught. Been kind of entertaining.
Yeah, and the thing about those college softball games too is, 7 innings are usually they're usually 2 hours. They're usually very quick. I covered some Florida teams and some regionals and they won a few national titles. And FSU is playing Oklahoma for the national title today. Oklahoma's got a great softball program, and they play that in Oklahoma City, so they've got kind of a home fan advantage there.
Got upset early by James Madison, though.
But there's a lot of really good softball programs throughout the country, and it's pretty amazing if you think about it. So what, 60 feet? It's not 90 feet. It's a 40
faster.
feet, right?
It's such a faster game because of that. It's like
60 miles an hour coming at you at about 40 feet. I mean, that's really bearing down on you.
But it makes it entertaining, and then we'll have the College Worlds or the Little League World Series this summer. Hopefully, we get to see that again. That's always a great entertaining thing. Now, the College World Series is going to be a little different because the teams, that's kind of a jacked up thing this year. Some of the teams that did make it, that a lot of people thought, like Louisville, they thought Louisville should have made it, and things like that. I don't know how fun that'll go, but I'm looking forward to the Little League World Series. Getting the kids back out there, eating the popcorn, all that stuff in Williamsport. So getting back to normalcy, man, it just continues to get head in that direction, and it's just fun. I noticed I took a picture yesterday. I had the opportunity and the honor to play with John Leskowski down at the Pete. Yeah, we were on the Donald Ross course actually, and it was his birthday, so took him down for his birthday, and man, he nearly shot his age. He's pretty good, but it's just fun to get out. And I noticed taking that picture because the last time I took a golf picture, we were all 6 feet apart, but now didn't have to do that anymore. So it's just good to see that normalcy coming back as we try to get there. But I just anything we can do to try to get back to normalcy just seems to help everything and everybody from a psychological standpoint.
Yeah, no question. And, I was just looking up the College World Series, and I don't think there are any Big Ten teams left. Nebraska gave Arkansas a little bit of a scare, but they lost on Monday night. Michigan got eliminated by Notre Dame up there in the regional, and Maryland's gone too. So no Big Ten teams left in the super regional.
Yeah, not a surprise there. The Big Ten is not – that's baseball is not their sport, but it's not. That's because, again, in baseball, you don't see teams from the north, from the northeast, or it's the warm belt schools, man. It is a warm it's a warm sport, as you said.
And Michigan made it to the finals, right? A couple of years ago.
Yeah, they did. They did. They did. They had
Indiana
that great
made
run.
it to the College World Series.
Actually, they made it to the finals the year Indiana won the Big Ten, I think.
Yeah.
Didn't they?
Yeah. 2019, 2 years ago. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but normally that is not something you see just because those teams get to practice outside longer. It makes a difference. You play longer around year. It makes a difference. And that's why you see all those schools dominate college baseball from that standpoint. What else is going on with you? What do you have coming up next?
Yeah, I talked with your co-host Charlie Miller for a while, so I got a story on that. And then don't forget, we talked to last week. I did this story about season tickets being up 10% and create a little bit of a stir. Some fans I posted it on a fan board, and some fans were a little upset about the varsity club and the fact that they're not necessarily getting their same spots that they've had for many years. And I'm going to try to follow up on that a little bit this week into the decision making with regards to that. But apparently, there's some fans that aren't happy about that.
Well, why was that? Has there been a reason given yet?
Well, so far from what I've heard from some people, it was something that they were originally going to do 3 years ago, and then the pandemic and yada yada. And I think they're capitalizing on probably football success the last 2 years. To do this, but I hear they're trying to basically get people as close to their original seats as possible. But with the demand being up, I guess you could probably move some people around a little bit here and there.
But why was there movement to begin with?
I told you, because it was just a plan that they were going to do. They thought they were going to do it 3 years ago originally, or 2 years ago.
But when you say just a plan, I mean, and I'm not questioning you because I don't know. But I guess I'm just not understanding why all of a sudden you would just move people. Are these other people paying more money? Are they giving more? There's got to be something behind a plan. Quote unquote, a plan. Why are they moving people from better seats that they've had? Especially you would think a sport, Indiana football has not been greatly supported. So the last thing I think that you would want to do is kind of screw over those who have supported you.
It probably has to do with donor contributions, and it has to do with, I guess the points and maybe demand, and maybe the fact that they're trying to drum up a little more donor contributions in the varsity club in terms of, helping, which they hope will help pour into the football program and athletics. So,
sounds like a plan. Hey, we've got more coming up. Chronic Hoosier is going to join us, and plenty more. We'll be back with it right after this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Hey, Hoosier fans, whether
What's going on?
What happened, brother?
Oh, man, another day in paradise.
Yeah, it is. Is it rainy out there?
It's kind of been on or off. Not as bad as what the forecast originally looked like for the week, but enough to keep my boy from getting the damn yard mowed. I know that much.
He likes that.
He does. He does even more. He figured out if he bitched and moaned loud enough and long enough, his mother would make me go buy him a brand new mower after he just chunked out the Husqvarna that I had previously been using.
Oh, he's got to have he's got to have his own stuff, man.
He does. He's got his brand new Honda in the garage now, which is bad. I'll tell you what, man, as bad as the supply crunch is for cars, we found out real quick it's just as bad for power equipment. They are far and few between.
So yeah, is it used cars? Like people, they're begging for used cars. Is that right?
Man, I sold my brother a car 2.5 years ago that is now worth with 33,000 miles on it. It's now worth $225 more than what he paid for it.
That has never in the history of mankind happened.
No, it's absolutely absurd, but that's just what supply chain disruptions have caused, and it has rippled far and wide.
I need to sell my 2 used cars then.
Yeah, it's a good time to get out of them.
Get a new Andy Moore Honda.
If you can find what you want, that's the flip side to it. It's kind of like the housing market right now. It's pinched pretty darn tight.
Are they not producing?
Yes, basically, we don't have enough electronics to build the products, and that's everywhere.
The Ford plant's been shut down here in Louisville for a few weeks now.
Yeah. No, they just don't have the chips. And last year when it was time to order this year's chips, everybody was staring at lockdowns and was butt puckered and scared to death that the bottom was going to drop out of the market. And lo and behold, once everybody figured out you could go outside and there'd still be toilet paper to wipe your butts, and you've got income that'll it's going to continue. People spent the rest of their days just staring at the computer in their houses and everything else they didn't like and they wanted to fix and they wanted to buy. And demand went through the roof, and now we just don't have the products to satisfy it.
All right, I got to bring us back in, y'all.
Seafood. Sam's Ale House in Carmel and on 86th Street in Indy have a long list of craft beers and all of the right foods to go with. Plan a day on the links at Eagle Point in Bloomington, then stay for dinner at Sam's Clubhouse. Sam's Restaurants, professionals in the art of food and drink.
Today's guest is brought to you by Reynolds Family Dentistry of Sellersburg. You need $1 million smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you'll get with Reynolds Family Dentistry.
Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington. Here's Jim Coyle.
Welcome back on this Tuesday. You know what that means? Chronic Hoosier joins us along with Kevin Brockway. How's it going, man?
It's going, man. Glad to be back. Sorry I had to miss you guys last week. Duty called and the boss man needed to bend my ear here for a little bit, so I got pulled aside. But we're back full on B-Town summer right now, man. Enjoying it to the fullest. I'll say that much. Loving
That
it.
happens. Yeah, I been out and about. People are getting out to restaurants. We're just talking about getting back to some normalcy. I saw Indianapolis has cut off all mask mandates. Just getting back to normal, hopefully. So that's the best part of the summer, just getting out and having trying to get back to normal. I think that a lot of things have changed for people that may not go back to the same, but hopefully everything just gets back there.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, man. The fact that, my favorite attribute of living down here, aside from IU and the restaurants and all the trappings of the town, people forget Bloomington's a lake town, man. And come summertime, once the water warms up enough, and we've about crossed that threshold now, where it's enjoyable to get in the water, it just opens up a whole host of fun things to get out and do. So last weekend was the first time we got our toes wet out at Monroe, and looking forward to many, many more down in your neck of the woods.
Hey, when you're out there again, let me know. I'll jump off a cliff somewhere and join you. It's the only way you can.
What's it like swimming in that lake?
It's muddy. It's, my wife's a lake snob, man. I married a Michigander, and she's used to that, that sandy bottom, glacial pools. Pretty much everything down here it's all man-made. So
There's snakes in that lake. I ain't going in.
Man, there's snakes everywhere in Indiana.
I know, but I'm not going in. Oh, man. But no, it's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful.
You got to get used to the murkiness, and it's got a soft bottom to it. So if you don't like, stuff squishing between your toes, it's probably best to stick to the pools.
And you know what? Cicadas are not fans of lake areas.
They are not, from what I've
So there you go. There's a benefit there as well.
That's the downside to living in town right now. My yard is completely crusted in the carcasses of those damn bugs.
Well, I've heard everybody talk about how crazy it is. And I'm like, oh, and I've heard them before a couple times. Unfortunately, it's because I'm too old. But I've heard virtually nothing. Luckily, behind me where I live is nothing but evergreens. They don't like evergreens. And not only is it serving as a buffer, and they're keeping them out. I'm like going, wow, that's phenomenal.
Yeah, my Labrador is doing the best he can to keep him out of our backyard, but unfortunately, that's a losing battle for him right now. Despite the fact that he's probably consuming a couple hundred a day. We can't even get him in the house right now. He's moved on from the Sour Patch Kids to the devil bugs.
The delicacy. Kevin and Brockway and myself were talking a little bit ago about Indiana football season ticket holders. Some are upset because when they renewed their tickets this year, a lot of people have been, I think, moved, not getting the seats that they have been accustomed to, which it sounds like maybe Indiana is going to start enforcing some points things, which probably they just haven't been doing along, but maybe they didn't go about this the right way. I'm not sure. But, man, it seems like a bad timing to when you're trying to court people to support, to aggravate the ones that have been supporting you.
I'll tell you what, man, if I've learned anything in life, it's supply and demand. And, right now coming into a season where IU football is probably the highest demand of my lifetime as far as fan popularity, having been locked out of the stadiums from the last year, new coach over at Cook Hall leading the basketball program, a lot of enthusiasm around IU basketball right now. But the net effect is more and more people than ever want to get into the stadiums and do their thing and see this and get back into it. And, when that's the case, you're going to pay a higher price because they can charge, whether it's donations or whatever, university's going to get theirs when more people want to get in there and come see the Hoosiers. So I guess it's to be expected to some degree. When the iron's hot, you got to strike. And, to see those priority points going up and people moving up if you're not donating the same or more than what you have before. That's just the nature of the free market, brother.
Yeah, well, the truth be told is IU football has been an valued product for a long time, but you have to put the product on the field, which now they have the product on the field, and people are just not used to that. People are not used to Indiana football consistently having a product that you want to go watch. And that is the case now. And as hard as it is to believe, it is the case. So yeah, I understand it. And if they would look up actually season tickets to other places, they would probably be surprised that they're probably getting a hell of a good value.
No kidding. I mean, people, we take so much for granted being an Indiana football fan for a long time. The low ticket prices, the availability of parking. Try to go up to Ann Arbor sometime and see how close you park to the big house and how much that spot costs you, and then see how long it takes you to even get out of there, because they don't care. If you can park it and it's out of the road, they're going to charge you 50, 60, 100 bucks. And you may be stuck in a quagmire, like a veritable swamp that requires to get towed out of and move a dozen other cars that are blocking you in. But that's just the nature of fandom up there. And that's something that people have grown accustomed to, both the pricing as well as the limited supply. And
Michigan charges for media parking.
I'm telling you, man, they don't care. They absolutely do not care. So much so they'll go park you on a golf course. And, the hackers be damned. They can sell those spots for $65 a spot, $75 a spot, and just absolutely rake it in. So you want to know what separates Indiana from so many of these other programs, stuff like that.
Well, I was talking earlier about the haves and the have-nots, and this is where it starts. I mean, these schools like Ohio State, Michigan, even others, Louisville, their season tickets are more expensive. This is where most schools make their money. Kevin, you came from Florida. I mean, Florida made a lifetime off of, and Florida State, and Miami, where you went to school, made, their livings were made off of football. That's what drove everything.
Yeah, and like Chronic was talking about the parking. I mean, it was the same way at Florida too. There was kind of the tailgate, to tailgate close to the stadium. You had to pay boku bucks the closer you were to the swamp as opposed to further away. And Miami was a little different because Miami was more of a kind of city school, so you didn't have that same kind of Florida and Florida State, man. Yeah, you had to really pay for the extras in terms of otherwise you're walking a half a mile, you're walking 3/4 of a mile from where you tailgate to where the stadium is. So yeah, there's something to be said about the proximity there. And it was the same thing with Florida too 10 years ago when they started getting good, then the priority points changed and people got displaced and people got upset. But you eventually get over it, I think.
As long as you've got a good product, people will get over it, because it'll either be a replacement, but you've got to get people in the habit. Products on the field now, they got to keep winning and competing. And as long as they do, then they can do that. So, but hey, I'm looking forward to football season. And that's the biggest thing. When have you ever heard people talking about just so forward to looking to football? Look, I can't wait to football. Can't wait till football starts. And it's been a common theme for quite a while, Chronic.
No, it has, man. I mean, this is what success looks like. This is what people have only dreamed about that have been Indiana fans for such a long time. And I personally can't wait to see what that stadium looks like late in the fourth quarter with a packed house that's still in their seats to support the football team and help get them over the hump and bring home a victory. And we're going to have lots of those opportunities early on. But this is exactly what it looks like. When you have to deal with pinched parking, when you have to deal with increased prices, when you have to deal with, all these trappings that are just commonplace as far as major football programs are. And that's exactly what, that's the tide that raises all the other boats that we've also been talking about for so long. The dream, if you could just get football and basketball figured out simultaneously, what type of shape would the athletic department be in, financially? How would they be able to compete against the Ohio States, the Michigans, the Penn States, and the Big Ten? Obviously, they're never going to be able to bridge the entire gulf between them. But seasons like this are exactly how you get on the track to at least narrow it as closely as possible.
Basketball side of things, saw that, let's see, Tamar Bates was walking around town with Logan Duncombe. Got there at seeing Kirkwood Avenue. I saw some pictures on Twitter. Some of the guys are in town on campus. Still waiting for some of the other guys to arrive as well as the basketball team gets convened for the first time. The announcement we talked earlier, Chronic, about the trip to the Bahamas. That'll be fun for those that go down there. Not a lot. It's a limited amount, but it's something new for Indiana.
Yeah, if I just found out yesterday, if you want to watch them, you better book your tickets now, and you got to stay at the Atlantis because there's going to be no TV, no stream. It's going to be limited to in-person viewing only at a limited number. So I'm excited to see. Unfortunately, I am tied up that week that they're traveling and won't have the opportunity to go join myself. But that's going to be the first chance. And I have no idea what type of competition they're going to be playing. But at the end of the day, it's going to give them a couple more weeks to practice together as a team bonding trip, just to get out of Bloomington for a little bit, go spend some time in paradise, and hopefully come back with a chemistry that's going to help them win some basketball games going forward. But before I go any further, we need to take a moment to appreciate that beautiful, beautiful lettuce that Logan Duncan showed up with on campus. That's par for the course in the 812 here, but he's doing it at a level normally reserved for Bedford folks or IU starting football rotation.
I noticed that. I was like, man, the last time I saw him, his hair was parted and combed over like a nice little young man. And boy, he comes here now. He's ready to rock and roll.
Yeah, that's all party. There ain't no business going on with that mullet.
Just amazing. But and to do that, just that means these kids are learning to show personality, and that's important. That's important on any athletic team. You have to have personality. I think. I don't mean crazy personality, but you've got to have that personality and to be able to, because that shows confidence and a comfortability in yourself.
No, unquestionably. And it's something, I'll say that much, but it's already got its own Twitter handle, Logan Duncan's mullet. I can't say that I follow it necessarily, but it's instantly vaulted itself up into that rarefied era of Max Bielfeld's calves. So that's saying something for a freshman just a week on campus.
What else is going on in the world of Chronic Hoosier?
Just living the dream, man. Chasing some kids around this summer, trying to stay employed, trying to make the most out of every day that we're given here and enjoy the summertime.
Yeah, it is hopefully going to be a good one, and looking forward to getting back into all the sports regimen, and hopefully everyone gets to go out and have their summer fun. The AAU, we got the All-Star game tomorrow between the juniors and the seniors. Kevin and myself will both be up there in Brownsburg. Then this weekend, you've got the Kentucky-Indiana basketball series.
So glad to get that one back. That's one of those that really stung last year when you're sitting there going through the calendar, all the kids that were able to get just to the end of the season, and then you saw the state tournament taken away. But that rivalry between Indiana and Kentucky, always love to see that come back on. Hopefully Woodson's able to revive it at the college level here soon too.
I'm looking forward to it, brother. I'm looking forward to next week when you're back. Oh, yeah, when you're back. Anything else that you got?
Now I got to figure out when Zach and I can get together and cut another podcast. We generally kind of chill out a little bit during the summertime, regroup and whatnot. But we are probably due to touch base and just break down what's been going on.
Well, Chronic Hoosier joining us as he does each and every Tuesday, brother. Appreciate you.
Thanks as always for having me. Catch you guys next week.
We'll do it again. Tony says Logan needs a black AC/DC concert T-shirt. I got that. I wear it pretty often. Yeah, that would Ron or some jorts, maybe some jorts.
Yeah, jorts back in the day in the 90s, they were pretty big, right?
Who wasn't there a dude for Kentucky that wore the jorts?
Yeah. Well, that was the whole thing about
Josh Harrelson.
Was that his name?
Yep.
Wore the jorts, yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't very good, but he definitely wore the jorts. Yeah. It made him kind of famous, I guess. Hey, let's take a break. We'll be back with more.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington. Whether you're looking for a relaxing night.
We get to interview Stephen Carr later this afternoon, huh?
What is Mark Emmert and Mitt Romney on together? Was he working on the frickin' NCAA crap? Jesus. Please tell me that's not true.
The NIL hearings are this week in Congress.
But what does...
They're probably discussing. Emmert is probably trying to discuss his position to save amateurism and all that crap.
Here's the thing. You get all these jackasses that don't know anything about. You got Mark Emmert pushing his agenda to a bunch of jackasses that don't know anything. That's all that this is going to be. Mitt Romney. What a jackass. Yeah, let's get Mitt Romney and Condoleezza Rice. Let's just make them the head of all sports because that makes sense. Taking an interest because it's, I would just like to punch him in the face. Mitt Romney is the guy that needs punched in the face. He does. He just needs punched in the face. He's just one of those people that needs punched in the face. Just like Ted Cruz. And there's plenty on the other side. I don't discriminate. I assure you. Those are two that just came up.
Yeah, there's definitely a fair share of idiots on both ends.
Oh, absolutely. Who's the other jackass?
Probably Mitch McConnell.
No, Chris Murphy, Democrat from Connecticut. And Mitt Romney from Utah. Utah has nothing to do with freaking college sports.
Utah, they had the Utes, right? They were,
I'm just saying, they're nothing.
BYU?
They're nothing.
Yeah.
They're nothing.
And
they
plus,
are nothing.
Plus Mitt Romney being a Mormon like BYU. I mean, I know Utah is home to all large Mormons anyway, but.
Well, that changes everything because they got all kinds of different rules they live by.
All right, I'll go ahead and bring us back in.
Oh, boy.
Hey, Hoosier fans, whether you're looking for a new or a used vehicle, Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington's got you covered. They're Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer for a reason. For deals like this, how about a new 2020 Honda Civic LX front-wheel drive lease for just $180 a month? Or a new 2021 Honda Accord LX front-wheel drive lease for just $270 a month. Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer.
Come see us at the all-new Andy Moore Honda, now in Bloomington.
This segment is brought to you by Remax Advanced Realty, Indie Home Pros team by Cheryl Sizemore. Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington. Here's Jim Coyle.
How's everybody's Tuesday going? Hope it's doing well. Just finished up with Chronic Hoosier. Looking at this next little piece, Kevin, 2 U.S. senators appear to taking aim at NCAA even beyond image likeness controversy. Every time I turn around, some jackass congressman or representative is sticking their nose someplace that they have no business, but that's what they do because that's all that they know how to do. Now you've got Mark Emmert and Mitt Romney talking. Two of the biggest, two people that seem to know less about sports than anybody. What in the hell? Why? This is why things get screwed up. Because people that like this are allowed to stick their nose in and start tweaking and turning. And first of all, Mark Emmert caused this by sticking his head in the sand. But now you've got these guys who are, we're going to come save the day. You can't just go from 0 to 100 and go around. You got to go through the process. I mean, you may have to push it through much faster now because there's been too many delays, and I agree with that. But you can't just go from 0 to 1,000, and you can't do it in 6 places in the South and not the rest of the places. So these states that are passing these laws, I don't know if they're helping to push it forward or if they're going to hurt, because if they go into effect, it's definitely going to screw things up. I don't know how the NCAA can stop it, Kevin. They can't stop a state that's passed a law that says this is okay for this guy to do. But I guess they can institute their rules that says if you accept money that you're not eligible.
Well, yeah, it's coming to a head because July 1st is coming quick, and that's when a lot of these laws are going to be on the books, particularly in states like Florida and Georgia. And I talked to Tom Allen about it, last month, and I think there's a little bit of a concern at this point because, I think, listen, Indiana's been very successful recruiting those two states, and it's going to make it a lot harder when the states have these laws on the books that will allow for compensation of athletes, whereas a state like Indiana won't. So, or in certain ways, every athlete gets compensated to a degree. We know, obviously cost of attendance above scholarships. A lot of these athletes can take out Pell Grants as extra income. So I think a lot of these guys do have walking around money. Like I think
Pell Grants. But Pell Grants can only be taken out if they're that's a need base.
Need based, yeah. But the qualifications for need based, let's not forget some of these athletes and the socioeconomic backgrounds of some of these athletes too.
Right.
So they can take out Pell Grants. Some of them do, and not all of them. But I'm just saying that there are ways to get money in these kids' pockets. I mean, they're not necessarily coming here without any money per se.
That's the thing. Too many of these guys are trying to act like they're heroes. They're going to be heroes, and they don't know. Man, it takes a lot of years of history to understand all of this and the college hierarchy. They can't just walk in and say, okay, boom, it's this. It just doesn't work that way because you have 300 and something Division I schools.
Well, it's the free market. It's the absurdity. I think what's happening, and I think where the backlash is these networks that these conferences have created, which in turn, you see the numbers reported of how many millions of dollars in revenue sharing go to each school, the apparel deals. And where is that money going right now? It's going towards the coaches and the administrators, and none of it is going towards the players. So I think there has to be a balance, but where is that balance? I mean, where do you draw the line? And do you make
but also where do you here? All right, you're going to have, are you not going to have the women's basketball team complaining that they're not getting what the men are getting?
Well, you're already seeing that too in facilities. You're seeing that right now in terms of
no. Let's don't go there. Let's don't go there. Let's keep it on the money.
Yeah.
Are they going to want equal money?
Very well. And if that's the case,
do they deserve equal money?
Well, I mean, Title IX, equal opportunities. And if they do,
my opinion is they don't.
All right. Well, I mean, it's a college enterprise. It's still an educational enterprise. You could make the argument, yeah, but then what you're going to do is you're going to pool the money, and then everyone's going to get a little bit less if you do that. Or do you have a free market system? But I think that something needs to be hashed out. But if it is, I don't know. Would if you're a college football player, would you sign up to making less so that a women's basketball player gets money? What's going to happen? What's going to happen?
No, I would not.
What's going to happen with NIL? All right, and here's another point. What's going to happen with NIL if a star player gets a deal based on how he performs? Say Ty Freifeld scores 3 touchdowns. Is that going to create jealousy in the locker room? That's another point.
No, he's already scoring those touchdowns, so no.
Well, but there might be some people that say, "Why aren't I getting touches? And if I get touches, I'll make money."
That's been going on forever, man. That's a whole different deal there. Now,
but now you've got money
because if he's getting don't go to the touchdowns, go to the money. If because he's scoring those, and now he gets a deal from a local car dealer. Is that, I don't think there should be jealousy because it's open to everybody. Everybody's able to get it.
Yeah.
You have the opportunity, go get it. But the schools are also helping. They're going to help these kids. And the women will get theirs too, but it's not going to be the same. And I don't think it deserves to be the same just because. No, I don't get the same as everybody else. I don't get the same as somebody who has more ratings. They charge more. It's just life, man. It's just life. Life is not handed to you because you're a gender or because you're an age or whatever. Certain things have to be earned, and this is one of those where this is a free market, I think, and you're going to get what you're able to get and what they're trying to do. In the name, image, likeness, they're going to get the individuals are going to benefit better than the group.
Yeah, no question. But I think it could create some jealousies along the way. I mean, I think it could, the NIL. But if you're going back to, that's why I think kind of pooling the resources and making it equal at the college level is the way to go. That way everyone's on the same footing. And the compensation won't be as exorbitant. So
yeah, I agree, Shay. You got people that know what's best for everybody who have no idea, but they will not split the money equally. Having said that, I'm not sure it should be. Yeah, but again, it's because we're name, image, likeness. That's kind of that's an individual deal.
Yeah.
And anything else, now that would be split equally. If there's, something different, something else come up with, well, that's split equally. We're talking about name, image, likeness.
There are a lot of people that think that NIL will help women's athletics, particularly in some individual sports like swimming. Like, take a look at how much money could Lily King have made in her college career in a sport like swimming. Or if you have a college gymnast, I don't know if you don't have gymnasts, obviously, at Indiana, but you do in some of the SEC schools, how much women's tennis, if you have a star women's tennis player, and even soccer and women's basketball. I'm sure Ali Patberg, with the success that IU's women's program has had, Grace Berger, I'm sure they could have, with the growing popularity and with them being on TV, I'm sure that there would be opportunities for them as well. So it's
absolutely, because you have to reach the female audience. The female audience is just as strong as the male audience. So their opportunities will be there.
Yeah, no, but I would say they have to achieve something, and it's based on their merit, and it's based on how well they play too. You can't be
based on your player and your effectiveness, and that's why sometimes there's disparity in pay, and people complain about that. And it's like the soccer, the women's USA soccer. There's a reason why it's not equal pay, and it has nothing to do with men or women. It has to do with TV audience. It has to do with one bringing in a crap ton more money. So it's like, sorry, but that's, again, life. If you work for this company that brings in $1 billion and Joe Schmo works for this company that brings in $1 million, there's going to be a disparity in what you bring home.
There was an interesting story. There was an interesting story in the New York Times about a week ago. Take a look at college baseball compared to women's softball, which we were talking about earlier in the show. You take a look at the ratings; they're fairly close to the women, and yet women have
women's softball is a fun.
Women's softball has much inferior facilities, much inferior compared to the College World Series, and compared to how the male athletes are treated for a revenue gap that's not that great.
That one will probably close.
Yeah,
women's softball is becoming a really entertaining sport, and if you entertain, people will come. It's that simple.
But U.S. women's soccer, you can make the argument, is more popular in America than U.S. men's soccer.
Well, they're damn sure more successful.
Also, because of
they're damn sure they are. But again, that has nothing to do with displacing the fact that it is what it is. It's about a gigantic TV market versus not a gigantic TV market.
But that TV market is based on international. It's not based on the United States.
Doesn't matter. Sorry. If you work for this company that makes $1 billion and they do international work, and you work and somebody else works for this one that makes $1 million, sorry, it's called life, man. It's just called life. I don't make the money that I'd love to, and there's other people that make way more than me. It's called life. Sorry. That just drives me nuts whenever I want something to hand
Al Pacino, and as Al Pacino says on Any Given Sunday, right? When you get older in life, things get taken from you. That's just part of life.
Exactly.
You learn that life isn't fair, and it's also a game of inches.
But yeah, it's just I don't know how it's going to end up. That's the thing. College sports, and mainly this is going to affect basketball and football, men's basketball and football mainly. How is it going to change it? You've got so many other things now with I can't, John, you got to keep telling me the name of that stupid league that we talked about.
Overtime Elite.
Overtime Elite. You got the Overtime Elite League now that competes with the G League. So there's many different options. One of which, though, I think that the NBA now, I don't think they're going to relieve that one and done rule.
Well, take a look at, and you were talking about like now this Overtime Elite and stuff, and you have the same thing in football. But when you take a look at before these leagues were forming and before more high school kids were going overseas, you kind of had earlier in the decade from 2010 to 2015, what was happening? It was kind of like Duke and Kentucky were the Blue Bloods, and they were winning all the national championships and getting all the Final Fours because they were getting all the one and dones. And then it changed. Perhaps if we start paying these kids above board, what you were complaining about earlier with Alabama and Clemson, maybe it will create more parity. And maybe you will see more teams emerge and have a more level playing field because right now there's a black market in place that we all know that allows kids to go to Alabama and Clemson. So, maybe it'll be a good thing, particularly in the college football world for parity.
Yeah, Shake says some people feel entitled to it. They don't want to earn it. They feel the fact that some people are just worth more than others, and that's just a fact. I mean, Tiger Woods, is he worth more than the 259th player on the tour, normally, or whomever you want to use? Yes, they are. It's just a fact of life. It doesn't mean that it's fair. It doesn't mean it's.
Life isn't always a meritocracy. I think it depends on what business you're in too. I mean, there's a lot of
absolutely.
There's a lot of dumb people making a lot of money. There's a lot of smart people not making a lot of money. So
you got that right.
It's just a matter of where you are. Sometimes it's connections. Sometimes it's people you know, and that plays into it too.
I'm just a dumb person not making a lot of money, so I got both those covered. So there's that.
We'll sell yourself short.
It's just, but the fact that we get to I'm just curious on how they're going to get this relegated, because we've got these 6 states that are less than 30 days from taking effect of name, image, likeness. What is that going to do to football? Are they going to? Alabama just going to start lining their guys up deals? Whoever it was, I can't remember all the school. There were 5 of them in the Southeast Conference, I believe. But are they just going to start lining up deals for their guys and off and running they go? What's going to? No one seems to know what's going to happen July 1st.
Yeah, it's going to be, and it can be a really a mess. But I think this week will be a big week with the hearings, and if Mark Emmert can cut something off at the head with regards to that, but. It could be, we could be facing, a situation where it's going to be chaos in a few weeks with regards to that. But
the thing is, those states absolutely no way should have enacted it to go in place that fast. Put it on the docket like California. California recently enacted a law that will allow college athletes in that state to be compensated for their name, image, likeness beginning in 2023. Okay. That at least gives the NCAA time, but it gives them a deadline, but time. They didn't have a deadline before, so they didn't have to do anything. Now they've got a deadline. Give them a deadline. I agree with that. You can't put this in place July 1st of this year on 6 states and not everybody else. I don't know. We got to take a break. We'll be back with more.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Hey, Hoosier fans, whether you're... Oh, enough of that crap.
All right.
Nothing like a good old Mark Emmert rant, huh?
Oh, he's a moron, but he's a rich moron.
Do you have the Indiana All-Star rosters or no?
Do I have the Indiana All-Star roster?
Yeah.
You can pull it up real quick.
I'll try to pull them up too.
Yeah, boy.
Where's Cooper and Jacoby going to school?
Toledo?
cutting grass?
Yeah, outside my house. Yeah, outside my condo.
Nice.
Sorry.
I'm due to cut my grass, but it's been raining every day, I feel like.
Shamar Vance is still not committed to college. Does he have the grades to go to school?
I do not know that. Man, this stupid Indy Star. I have a flipping subscription, but I cannot ever get into this damn thing.
Special guest Kevin's lawnmower guy, or whoever it
Kevin's
is.
lawn service.
Oh, he's going to Miami of Ohio.
Shamari Vance, Brooks Barnheiser. That's a loaded field, man. That's a loaded all-star team.
If it's so loaded, how come Indiana didn't get anyone? Because of Archie.
Yeah, how long is this the first year in? I think probably since Juwan Morgan and OG Anunoby that there are no Indiana commits. I'm going to bring us back. We got 15 seconds.
6th Street and Indy have a long list of craft beers and all of the right foods to go with. Plan a day on the links at Eagle Point in Bloomington, then stay for dinner at Sam's Clubhouse. Sam's Restaurants, professionals in the art of food and drink. This segment is brought to you by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington. Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington. Here's Jim Coyle.
Oh, hope you're having a happy Tuesday. Tomorrow, the juniors and seniors are playing All-Stars on Brownsburg High School. Get that going. Caleb first. Fort Wayne Blockhoff Christian, of course, named Mr. Basketball. But he'll be joined by Shamar Avance, Brooke Barnheiser, Jalen Blackman, Luke Brown, Luke Goody, Cooper Jacoby, Trey Kaufman, I don't know how you say his name, Konetsky, Blake Sisley, Jaden Taylor, Pierce Thomas, Brian Waddell, and Blake Wesley. That is as deep an all-star lineup. I mean, top to bottom. I remember for a minute. I mean, that's not that there's been other bigger stars, because there's not really well, where's did I say Trey Kaufman?
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know if I said his name.
Trey Kaufman Wren now he goes by.
Yeah, I don't know that there's a true superstar. There's not a superstar on this. There's not a 5-star on here, is there?
Caleb First is a 4-star.
Yeah, there's no superstars on this. That's the difference. But they're top to bottom solid from top to bottom. But interesting to see. No Indiana signees, a rare thing, but not surprising. But that will change next year and thereafter, for sure. The junior-senior exhibition game is set for tomorrow night, Brownsburg High School, of course. The first game against Kentucky is June 11th at the Owensboro Sports Center down in Owensboro. And then the final game against Kentucky is June 12th, the next night at Southport Fieldhouse in Indianapolis. The games in Indianapolis are Southport because Bankers Life is unavailable because of another phase of renovations. Otherwise, Indiana would still be playing in the big house. All 3 dates will be double headers with the Indy Star Indiana Girls All-Stars as well. So you get 2 for 1 there if you're heading out there. The All-Star program began in 1939, Kevin.
How about that? Yeah. Yeah, no, it's an interesting history. And the juniors, CJ Gunn, hopefully will be playing. I read somewhere last month where he's got a little bit of an ankle issue or something, that he wasn't playing some travel league ball, but hopefully he will be healthy for that game, and we'll get to see him up there, because I'll be curious to see what kind of player he was. Certainly from Lawrence North, one of those players that helped lead IU to a runner-up finish, rather Lawrence North to a runner-up finish in the state to Carmel. Of course, Donovan McCulley was on that Lawrence North team too, who's coming here to play quarterback for the IU football team.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if Mr. Gunn gets to play. I know he's been dealing with that injury, but I know a lot of IU fans would certainly like to see that. I'm sure that Mike Woodson would like to see that. Are they able to go to that game? Is it open yet?
I don't know if recruiting traditionally.
I think it starts right after that.
Yeah. So usually you don't see the coaches there to evaluate, but it's a good opportunity for certainly the players to go out there and have a little fun and take pride in their class and in their certainly state, and do a really good job with it. And it'll be interesting to see on the Kentucky side who they have coming up, and if Indiana can continue their recent dominance in that series. Right, they've won a bunch in a row in it.
Long dominance, long time dominance, my friend. They have like a 2-1 record in this thing. But yeah,
does Kentucky take it seriously?
Of course they do.
As seriously as Indiana? I don't know.
Listen, if you're not taking any game seriously, what kind of a competitor are you? If you're on an all-star team representing your state and you're not taking a game seriously, what the hell kind of a competitor are you?
I'm just saying, 2 years ago when I covered the first one, they tried to call the best player from Kentucky and he didn't show up or something like that. Or that's what I mean. I'm talking about more organizationally, whether they take it seriously, whether they really get their best players.
They get their butt kicked year in and year out is what happens, because Indiana produces a ton of basketball talent and Kentucky does not. That's just a fact. And taking it seriously or not, I take it seriously, but it used to be, and I think, they've just gotten their butts beat so badly. It's worn on them. I mean, they went like a decade winning one game. I think that'll wear on you, even though it's new. It's completely new kids every year. Yeah, I mean, when you're told, y'all haven't won a game in 9 years, that gets in your head already, and you haven't even played it.
It was always interesting to me that Kentucky, I think under Tubby and under Rick Pitino before that, under Cal, they've just pretty much recruited nationally, right? You very rarely see. I do remember there was a kid, Patrick Sparks, who was like from Central City, Kentucky, that played in 05, and then also who else? But Chris Lofton, who was one of the best players in Mr. Kentucky, went to Tennessee and had a great career as a three-point shooter there for the Vols, kind of in the late. So sometimes you lose those kids from the state of Kentucky that are pretty good high school players.
Yeah. Oh, I remember seeing this has nothing to do with anything. I just remember seeing this last night, and I wanted to remember this. On this day in 1955, the LA Dodgers, I won't say they demoted him or whatever. They demoted future Hall of Fame manager Tommy Lasorda to make room on their roster for Sandy Koufax.
How about that?
I saw that last night. I just thought that was the funniest thing. I'm like, that's amazing. 1955, Tommy Lasorda gets demoted for Sandy Koufax. I didn't know Lasorda was a pitcher.
He was. No, he was a very good pitcher. But then, went into managing because he was in AAA Montreal and so forth, and decided to go that. But two Hall of Famers, right? And Tommy passed obviously in January, and I think we both shared our Tommy Lasorda stories, right? With you in the dugout and me and covering him in spring training when I asked him a question about Mike Piazza, and he kind of barked at me in '93 and whether he was going to be the starting catcher or not. And Piazza went on to a Hall of Fame career as well.
You know what?
And commercials with Alf. Don't forget.
Oh yeah. Hey, before we forget, I'm going to talk about the Pangos is up and running out in Las Vegas. There's a couple guys out there, Indiana, that Indiana will be keeping an eye on. So go to thehoosier.com. Alec Lasley will keep you up to date on that. But we're going to get Rob Cassidy in from Rivals. He's out there right now covering that. So we'll talk to him. But it's one of the best fields in any event every year, the All-American Camp in Las Vegas. Cathedral big man Xavier Brooks is out there. He's had a very strong showing. Booker plays for George Hill, all Indy during the grassroots season. And the first thing you see, this is from Rob Cassidy, the first thing you see when you watch Brooks is the athleticism. He's the potential right now, but his jump shot is really starting to come. And he made some tough and contested jumpers last night. That was impressive. He gets up and down the floor incredibly well for a 6'9" kid. His blend of athleticism, length is going to serve him well as he adds muscle. I think that the big thing right now is to get stronger, but he's got time to do that. He'll debut in the rankings for sure. Relatively high. I see him as a fringe top 50 kid for sure. It's a small sample size, just one game, but he likes what he saw. So there's Xavier Brooks from Cathedral playing out there. That's Rob Cassidy from Rivals, his thoughts on him. He said Booker went up against 2023 number 14 ranked player Bay Fall, who also defended 2022 forward Duke Brennan, offers from Georgia, Arizona State, Mississippi State, Wake Forest. Booker played alongside number 1 ranked Jalen Duran. Booker is slated to visit Indiana on the 23rd of this month, unofficially. He also holds offers from LSU, Purdue, Kansas State, TCU, and Tulane. So there's a little recruiting update for you.
Yeah, and obviously 6'10", 205. Has to put a little meat on that frame, as you mentioned, but class of 2023 kid and a local kid, obviously a kid from within the state that you'd like to see Indiana in on, certainly with regards to that. And, really good athletic forward for his size.
Then someone asked about Vince Iwuchukwu, big 7-footer, big man. He's 26 points, 11 of 21 from field goals, 2 of 6 from 3. He shot 3 3-pointers and hit, or 6 3-pointers and hit 2 of them. Not bad for a 7-footer.
Yeah, I mean, you want those guys that can extend the floor. That's where the game is headed.
Let me tell you, 10 rebounds. All right, let me go over that stat line again. This is a 7-footer. He was 11 of 21 from the field.
Yep.
26 points, 2 of 6 from behind, from deep. He's stretching your defense. He's a 7-footer already stretching your defense, and he got 10 rebounds.
Yeah,
man, that's an impact player right there. Very talented big man, still developing, becoming more of a threat from all around the floor offensively. Terrific running the floor, very good on the glass, super athletic, allowing him to finish. He's offers from Indiana, Baylor, Florida State, Purdue, Kansas, Oklahoma State, Texas Tech, and Arkansas, among others. But
Leonard Hamilton likes those 7-footers, yeah.
Well, that's a new player. I mean, a guy that can do all that. That guy has got a long, long career ahead of him.
Yep, that's where the value is, because it opens up so much for the rest of your defense.
Couple of additional notes real quick. 2022 guard Avery Brown had a team high 14 points on 6 of 12 shooting with 3 steals for his squad. He is playing alongside 2022 forward Julian Phillips, who had 8 points. 2023 Crispus Attucks Indiana wing Jalen Hooks had 7 points. So that's that'll be going on all week. But man, that's just some good stuff right there. The truth is with us. How you doing, Robert? But yeah, good numbers there. But that's the thing. These are the kind of guys that Indiana will be getting now. They talked about getting them before. They dreamed of getting them under Archie, but that was just a pipe dream. That's sale. That's a reality now.
Well, they got Romeo and they got Trace Jackson Davis, but they didn't, get as much around them as they should have.
Romeo was a gift, and again, anything that happened during those 4 years, it just wasn't. They didn't know what to do with what they had. That is gone as well. You got Mike Woodson. You got Dane Fife. You got Thad Matta. You got 3 different freaking head coaches. 3 different guys that have been head coaches. And all of which are basketball people.
Yep.
I cannot even begin to impress the change
Dane
that's coming.
And Dane and Thad being Big Ten people, which I think will help immensely with Mike's transition, that you have 2 guys that have been through it in the Big Ten and that they know the conference, they know what it's about. And I think that's the interesting, well, Michael Lewis has experience in the Big Ten too, but maybe not as extensive as Dane. So I think that's the interesting attribute that Dane brings to the table that I think will be valuable with just a number of years in the Big Ten and knowing the landscape, knowing the recruiting, knowing the styles of play, knowing the coaches, and Thad Matta as well from his position as kind of being a sounding board in the administrative offices.
Yeah, but the biggest point is people are looking to Indiana again. That wasn't really the case before. They're looking to Indiana as a place to go from. And I'm talking about kids on the outside of the state, which is how it always has been. And then that has gone away. But now it will be back to it. To me, it already is back there. It hasn't happened yet, but if you know what's going on behind the scenes, you know that there has been the changes that have happened are unbelievable. So nothing guarantees success, I guess. Nothing guarantees victories or anything of the sort, but they have not been in a position to do that any better than they are right now in a lot of years, I guess is the best way. You got
to get the right kids inside the state too. It's evaluating and making sure you take Aaron Henry and not Demezy Anderson. That's an issue. You got to it's not always about getting the guys in Indiana. It's about getting the right guys and then supplementing them with some guys from outside the state as well. I mean, and so much of recruiting is projecting and evaluation and development, and it's an inexact science, but you've got to get the right kids from Indiana. It's not just getting the kids from Indiana, it's getting the right kids because there's so many, and you hit on some and, maybe some you miss on.
Yeah, well, I think that the Jerome Hunter situation showed that that's exactly what it's going to be like. You have to they are going to have the right kids. If you're not going to be here. I'm not saying that he was a bad kid. It's not what I mean. You have to match up in every way. Texted Chris Gunn, and he confirmed that CJ will be in action. He's looking forward to having fun with the guys. So if you have a chance to get out there and check CJ out, get out and do it because he is a future Hoosier as well. But yeah, looking forward to seeing him play tomorrow night. So looking forward to that. Just looking forward to seeing these guys and get out and be able to do this. It's been a couple of years. It's weird for this, but looking forward to it.
I'll be driving you up. I'm sure you'll be complaining about my driving the whole way,
And eating
driving
popcorn on the way back.
Like driving Miss Daisy, yeah.
There you go. Perfect. Be awesome. Let's see. Where are we? Getting close there. But yeah, so you got that. Hey, if you can go out. If you're a fan of high school ball or the All-Stars, get out and check it out while you can because it's back. And then, of course, Saturday at Southport, the All-Star game. It'd be interesting. I think that Indiana should take those 2 games, but it's interesting just to see those games back up and running. Just getting back to normalcy. The Indianapolis 500, the Kentucky Indiana All-Star game, just things of summer, and it's great. It's nice to get out again.
Yeah, it's good to be out and about town. It's been fun like these last couple of months because it has kind of slowed down a little bit. But we're going to stay vigilant, and I think it'll be really exciting college football season. And fingers crossed. They haven't confirmed 100% capacity yet, but I think it's going very much in that direction where you're going to fill the stadium. And if you do, it's going to be a good time. I think, and it's going to be an exciting campaign. You get right off the bat at Iowa and then Cincinnati, 2 of your first 3 games against top 25 teams. It's going to tell a lot about this Indiana football season too. And we're going to get Stephen Carr later this afternoon too on a Zoom call. So that'll be exciting to talk to the new USC running back transfer that's coming here.
Yeah, man, football. We'll talk about that on another day, but definitely exciting to see how that's going to go. What do you have coming up? What do you got out? What's already out, and what do you have coming up?
Yeah, I talked to your co-host Charlie Miller, who was really good, and I, kind of like a catching up. Where are they now? And we'll be doing a lot of Indiana junior and senior all-star coverage the next couple of days, and then maybe follow up on this ticket situation as well with regards to why some of these fans are being displaced and what the explanation from Indiana is.
It's the problems of success, baby. It's
Trappings.
the problems. It's the trap. There you go. The trappings of success. It's true. Although I don't know why were they not doing that to begin with. That's something you should have just been doing, because that would have eliminated this. Because now you're doing it coming out of a COVID. You're a program that has just not had a lot of success, and now you are, and you're trying to court people, but yet you're at the same time. I hope you're not alienating them, but we'll talk about that more. But been another great day, man. Lots of fun as always. I can't thank you enough.
It's great to be here as always, and go Nets, man. Got to finish off Milwaukee.
Yeah, and we'll check that out. We'll maybe catch that game. No, I guess on the way back from the All-Star game Wednesday.
Well, now it's going to be Thursday. Yeah. But maybe we'll stop and catch a Mets-Orioles game. Who knows?
There you go. Thanks a lot to Chronic Hoosier as well. Mike DeCourcy back on Thursday, I think. So we'll get him swapped around. But a great fun day. Go out and have a great day. Do something nice for somebody. Until tomorrow, I'm Jim Coyle. I will see you on the radio.